You probably have all heard of Maslow's hierarchy, right? Well, through studying wins and losses and studying that trusted advisor model, we've created a trusted advisor hierarchy. And these are the behaviors that lead to your customers perceiving your sales force as a strategic advantage, that the sales process is so good that they would have paid for the sales call, okay? Now the first step, and we all know this, people buy from people that they like, that they enjoy being around. You know, you can tell by, being the middle-aged chubby guy look that I've had, I've been doing this for a long time. 20, 30 years ago, the base of that pyramid, that rapport, there were people that earned a great living just being the best guy in the world to be around. The guy that could buy the best cocktails, tell the best joke, that they just had such rapport with their customers that people just loved to buy from them. Now, as you study this and the complexities in the world that we live in, if you're on your way up the hierarchy, if that's where you end, win rates are now between 0 and 10%. If your customer gives you a perfect 5 in how they perceive your ability to win rapport, but that's where it stops, again, win rate 0 to 10%. Next up the hierarchy is how does the customer perceive your understanding of their situation? Now, this is what a lot of you do for a living. So as I study the behaviors of sellers and I'm asking customers to rate the seller that just sat across for them, what do you think the number one behavior displayed by the seller is that would get them a perfect 5 by their prospect on understanding? Questions, that's a good one. It's listening. As a prospect, if I rate you a perfect 5 on listening, all of a sudden my perspective of your understanding of my situation dramatically improves. Now, if you got perfect 5s on rapport and understanding, but that's where you stop, as you study wins and losses, you're actually seeing it tick up to about 20 to 25% on the win rates. And then here, this is where a lot of that barbell that I showed you right in the middle, that product and solution model, this is kind of where it starts to cap out in the eyes of customers. That as a salesperson, you've built rapport, you understand their situation, and you've laid out a solution that meets or exceeds their base expectations. Again, that's base level selling, and you'll see win rates jump up. They've started to drop here lately, so in the last 3 years, they're down below 50%. They're in that kind of 40 to 45, 47%. This is where you start to traverse the behaviors in the eyes of the customer to jump up into that trusted advisor model. This next level of guidance. Is your counsel and your perspective interesting enough and on point with what the customer is dealing with and thinking about that they actually want your perspective and your guidance on issues that aren't even related to the current product or solution that you're trying to sell? There's some magic that occurs there. And as you start to see those behaviors coming back and get reciprocated by your customers, you've now have cracked the code to move into that trusted advisor level. And at the pinnacle, again, how we measure that, the magic is, was that interaction with the salesperson so good you would have paid for it? And when that answer is a yes, and you're getting perfect 5s on that, we're seeing win rates that are actually jumping up well north of 75%. Now, I know there's a lot more complexity underneath that, but as you study behaviors in the eyes of the customer, there's some real magic there. So then, what's the difference between the reps that are pulling that off and those that aren't? So this is a review of 2022 data where we studied, and we've got a huge database, who are all the reps around the world that hit or beat their quota versus those that didn't. What are the skills that differentiated those folks? And then tied it back to those customer studies, and it was fascinating. The top 3 skills, deal navigation, teaching and advising, and then I love this one, that was a surprise, generating opportunities, because there's this myth out there that really effective high-end major account salespeople are too busy to do their prospecting. But again, when you study folks that are actually meeting or beating quota, they work their ass off on that component as well. They're constantly prospecting. They're never too busy to not be prospecting and looking for their next best deal.
Thank you for watching this highlight video from the Sandler Summit. You can join us for the next Sandler Summit in 2024, March 19th and 20th at the Orlando World Center Marriott. Register now at sandler.com/summit.